one at 25.5, and then we would provide, for example, a 25 to 50 and a 5 to 20 range, and a 25 to 100.
So 25.10 and 50.20?
25.50 down, so the range could be, next range up would be a range between 25 and 50, and 5 to 20 up.
Okay, so you're saying 25 to 50?
Yep.
For ups, and then 5 to...
5 to 20?
5 to 20. Great, thank you.
And then
140 by definition not?
The next one would be 25 to 100 range.
Okay.
And then 5 to 40. And the idea there being that, as we all know...
Well, it's a lottery, whatever it is, it is.
No, it's not a lottery. So part of the process for ordering a service would be a service qualification. So this is part of the systems that we would build. That service qualification would, at the time of ordering a service, enable the RSP to provide a, for the lack of a better word, a birth certificate on that line, which would rate the line speed, and therefore able to inform the RSP that that end user is able to get a speed, for example, of between the 25 to 50, might rate it at 40 megabits. At which point the user, they could decide whether they want to, depending on the pricing they want to charge for that, select that speed tier.
Okay.
Other than, if not, fall back to the 25.5.
Okay. No 250 download or 500 or meg speed tiers for FTTN?
Not at this point, no. That probably would come as we roll out things like GFast.
And they require closer to the home, so there's a construction cost and a further deployment model.
No, we'd roll them out.
Or you think you could do it from the existing
obviously we'd roll out GFast
boxes next to the
things like in MDUs and multi-dwelling buildings, etc. Yeah, okay. Wouldn't require it.
But you're not suggesting a suburban rollout of it?
No, I wouldn't be suggesting we're trying to roll GFast over 400 or 500 metres of copper loop.
You're not suggesting that, you said? No, cool. Now, are these speed tiers also the case for your FTTP product set?
Yes.
Any difference at the top end? Like, do you think you could get a 250 product?
So clearly from our trials in FTTP, we did see that we're picking up speeds well into the 80, 90 and even 100 megabits. But at this point, we're not proposing to, when we launch anyway, we'll obviously test and refine that. And we'll learn more as we go into the broader deployment of these. Once we've built these speed tiers, it'll be quite easy for us to add higher speed tiers.
Cool. How would you add a higher speed tier? Different
same things. You could follow the same. Well, the higher speed tier will be through.
How do you make it go faster? Is what I'm asking. Not you can add them on, but how do you actually?
Things like GFast and those capabilities and MDs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Now, by the way, on Monday, 20th of October, when talking about the FTTN rollout on Newcastle, NBN corporate executive spokesman Darren Rudd told the ABC, quote, "We tried VDSL in New Minor and the speeds were comparable to the fibre product." So you're getting gig speeds on VDSL?
So the speeds on as I said, I mean, I think Darren's comments were correct. We're getting some very high speeds, but we're the first to admit that's of a relatively small scale.
Speeds were comparable to the fibre product. The fibre product
we were getting
range,
70, 80 megabits.
The fibre product range includes 250, 500 and 1,000.
I think...
So I might just want to suggest he just tones down the rhetoric a bit.
Yeah, sure. That's not the characterization that was meant. As far as what's being sold and what people are buying is the comparable speeds.
I think just tone down the rhetoric is fine. Now, can I confirm that NBN Co is planning to charge the following wholesale prices for the ABC Uni bundle on FTT and FTTB? And I'm going to read them out and try and get them confirmed. So, ABC TC4 downstream, 12, 1, fibre and wireless, $24 recurring charge. That's correct?
Yes.
25.5 fibre and wireless, 27.
Yes.
25.10 fibre, 30.
Yes.
50.20 fibre, 34.
Yes.
140 fibre, 38.
Yes.
250, 100 fibre, 70.
No, I don't have those pricing with me, but I can take that on notice. Yeah.
500, 200 fibre, 100. And 1,400 fibre, 150. I'm assuming I'm reading from an NBN document.
I'm not sure.
Not making it up as I go. Do they sound familiar without holding them exactly to them?
Sounds about right, yep.
Okay. So will you be charging the same price for VDSL as the fibre to the premise?
Yes.
Now, is the CVC rebate still in place?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I'm interested in, I think you announced a reduction from $20 to $17.50. What was the thinking behind that?
I think that we always saw that as usage grew, that we would have to reflect that usage growth with a reduction in unit price of the CVC, and that's what that price modification reflects.
Now, I'd like to go through some scenarios. What if a line is tested and a customer is deemed to be able to get 35 meg? What would be the wholesale ABC charge for VDSL for 35 meg?
Well, if they decide to take the 25 to 50 range, then it would be the $34.
Right. That's the same price as the 50 meg FTTP
Correct.
tier.
And that would be the same for someone who was line rated at 50 or line rated at 49.
So, you know, we're talking about someone who's been line rated at 35. So you're charging the same as if they were on fibre at 50, even though they can only get 35.
Correct.
Now, what if a line is tested and the customer is deemed to be able to get 60 meg? What will be the wholesale ABC charge for VDSL for 60?
So just to be clear, so in all line rating cases, just because they're line rated at something does not mean that we will charge that. It's a question of if the RSP wants that service to be delivered at speed.
Okay, but let's keep going with the conversation.
Well, I just want to be clear.
Appreciate
So
the qualification. They may choose not to. But what would be that?
It would be the same as the 100 meg speed to.
So they're paying $38. $38, the same price for 100, even though they can only get 60.
Correct.
So essentially, there will be scenarios where a fibre customer will be paying $38 wholesale ABC for a 100 megabits product, assuming they are with a good RSP, who doesn't skimp on contention ratios. And we'll be getting pretty close to that, and you'll have customers on VDSL paying the same price but getting quite considerably less.
So the pricing will be for FTT on that range as I described. Yep.
That's a yes.
Depending on where they fall in that range, yes.
Thank you.
And again, these are to the RSPs. The RSPs may not pass these prices on or may have a different construct, as you know, to the consumer. So that it's not that the consumer would have this issue, but clearly the RSPs understand it.
Mr Morrow, previously I've asked you if NBN Co intends to take ownership of the copper network progressively as the FTTN network is being rolled out, and you've indicated that was correct. Telstra said a similar thing in its 2014 annual report. I just wanted to confirm that's what's being planned. You don't pay for, take ownership of, until you need it.
I would wait until we actually are able to announce the details of the agreement that we're working on.
I'm not being curious, just that's what both of you have said. You're not changing it. You know, if something's changed, you could tell us that something's changed.
I'm not saying one way or the other than I would ask the committee's support for waiting until we have an agreement signed. And
No, it's just you've been prepared to give me an answer to that twice. You're not being made to pay for it all up front, are you, Mr Morrow?
Well, if I could delay the confirmation and or challenge of the question until after the agreement's signed.
You were happy to answer the question previously.
And again, Senator, I think, as everybody would expect, it's responsible not to comment on the deal until it's actually signed.
Then why did you do it previously?
Because
you were being irresponsible?
Maybe
Twice?
I was. I think I was.
Conroy,
I'm using his own words.
just let the witness finish his sentence, please.
So I'll ask the questions irrespective of what I expect your answer to be, but then if I decided to not ask questions on the basis of what I knew your answer would be, we'd be here for a very short period. Am I correct in categorising the likely situation as one where NBN Co will take ownership of the copper in an area at the moment the FTTN network is switched on in that area? after which there'll be a migration window where existing services will coexist with VDL services. That's more of a practical question than a financial question.
But I think it is one that relates to the agreement, and I would not comment on it until it's signed in public.
Are you still calling this migration when people, for all intents and purposes, will not be moving off the copper? I mean, we created the word migration to describe moving from copper to fibre, so I'm just interested, what are you going to call that? Because they're not migrating anymore.
Well, they are.
They're migrating from Telstra's ownership to yours, I guess.
No, they're migrating to a new technology.
Indeed.
But they're still on the same copper.
And when the last parts of it,
I just want to make sure we're all still using the same word.
As we what?
All still using the same word.
Yes.
No, it's not the same network. It's the last kilometre perhaps that they stay on, but
Correct.
there's no longer is copper going back to the exchange under the Telstra network. And that would have to be disconnected and migrated over to our fibre out to the node architecture.
There's not a lot of,
I think we've spoken
not a lot
about
of
this.
copper going back to networks.
I think we've spoken about this before, Senator. The notion in the nodal infrastructure is that there is a network migration where you cut the copper over to the node, and then there is the effect of a customer migration, which is an on-demand thing driven by the RSPs. Thank you.
How long is the migration window being contemplated? 18 months for nodes without special services? I'm just looking for an indication.
We're not changing anything.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming it'll still be the same sort of...
Yes.
Yeah, cool. If NBN takes ownership of the copper at the point of ready for service, will Telstra be liable for ULL during the migration period?
Again, these are details, I think, within the agreements.
They're expensive details.
I'm sorry?
They're expensive details.
Again, depending on how the outcome of the agreement is, it could be expensive, it could be a moot point.
Now, during the migration window, will some nodes have to deal with exchange-based services such as ADSL and special services and node-based services such as VDSL at the same time?
Yes.
Can you please set out what these special services are?
No.
They'll be spelled out
They'll be spelled out as, yeah. I'm sorry.
after we're able to announce the agreement.
I'm not being arrogant, Senator. We don't know what special services are run over there.
Now, if you can take it on notice and people might be able to...
I can't even take it on notice. Telstra knows the special services that run over. We don't have that information.
You probably do, but you petitioned it off in your head.
I've petitioned it off.
I have a suspicion you're going to invite us back here. Invite's the wrong word, excuse me.
No, we're almost finished.
Oh, no, I was talking about after we sign the Telstra agreement. And have
Oh, yeah, no, tragically that may be the case. I mean, I saw you indicated it's going to be before Christmas, and I'd just love to have a lengthy debate with you and discussion about it before Christmas. You may get lucky.
Christmas Day.
Yeah, you'll be on your own.
Me, mate.
You can convene a meeting. Yeah, you can convene a meeting. You'll be on your own. Now, at the Comms Day conference a few weeks ago, Mr. Stanton made the point that interference can be a big issue. In fact, I believe he said that these services can potentially do quite severe damage to each other. Is that correct?
Damage. The services could degrade when they share.
Yeah, I think that's what he meant when he said damage. Mr. Aycock, could you talk the committee through the interference issues that will arise during the migration period window on FTTN? What causes that? What causes the degradation?
Well, it's the noise from the two networks. We're modelling that at the moment, our exchange, to see how we can minimise it.
Could you just be a fraction more?
I mean, clearly, and this is all plans at the moment because they're still under negotiations, but we won't
this
be
is
driving...
a generic question.
We won't be driving full power in the exchange down the lines until all the services are migrated to the NBN.
Okay.
That's how we plan to mitigate the issues that you are alluding to.
Is it the case that if NBN Co has nodes with interfering services, you will not be able to run the network at its full capacity? You can't run vectoring? Well, as I just said, one of the mitigants to minimise the damage that Mr. Stanton speaks of is to not fully power the VDSL. So you run them low for a few months.
You run them low, that's correct.
Yeah. And you can't run vectoring while that's happening? That's a technical question.
Yeah,
I think the answer is yes, but I genuinely don't know.
Let me. There may be a scenario where you can, but not fully. But I'll come back to you. Let me take that away.
Cool. Does NBN Co propose to have a different migration window for nodes which also have to run special services, say a 36-month migration window rather than 18?
I believe that's all subject to the negotiations of how those timeframes
But
play.
I don't think that, yeah, we have to worry about it being extended that way.
You would?
We're
No.
not.
Oh, okay, you think we'll be able to manage it in 18 months? Cool. Right. I can pause for a minute if Senator Smith has any questions.
We're all waiting for you.
All right, well, I think my only other questions are for Mr Rousselot and Mr Roux. So I think we'll hold that over till Thursday. As I said, I might have a few more questions from Mr Steiger, but I'll let you know well in advance if we got any more. So could I thank all of those who've been watching as always. You're now, the number of you is now so long it is impossible for me to read them out, but thank you to all of the usual gang and new friends.
I thank them too.
And Mr Morrow loves you dearly.
Senator, sorry.
Again, I've misled the Senate.
Senator, just before we do close out, a quick clarification,
Yep.
if I may be so bold. One of the questions we've taken away was you've asked about the 163,400 additional fibre in the announcement the other day. My term was just alluding to the fact that there's no breakdown of technology in the press announcements. Can I ask the source of your number? Can I ask the source of your number?
Which number was it, sorry?
The additional fibre to the premise addresses that you...
I'll see if I've got any more information I can get for you.
Thank you, because there's nothing about technology in the press release, so I don't know the source of the number.
That's all right.
Thank you.
Could be a question I noticed to Senator Conroy. be prompt, Senator Conroy.
I'll do my best. I'll do my best.
Thank you.
I'd like to
Senators.
thank everyone, particularly representatives from NBN Co appearing
It comes
tonight.
from the
Thank you.
rollout plan, I'm told.
Thank you, colleagues. I declare this hearing adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tricky things, that.